All right.
Here we
Welcome,
are,
everybody. Yes, it's so good to see you
officially
again.
recording, officially live. So good
Yeah.
to see you all here.
Yes, yes, yes. So let's start our gathering today by opening our hearts and opening our energies. And if you have your candles ready, let's light them up. And as we're lighting the candle, anything that you've been carrying, anything that needs transformation or release or just holding for a minute, you can just put it on the temple of divine perfection, right behind me. Just drop it there so you can be here in the soul field with us. So as you're diving in, feel the goodness of this space. Feel yourself coming into this space and dropping in, and anything else that needs to be held, just put it in the temple of divine perfection. And so let's start with our opening prayers, and then we'll do the affirmation.
We come with grateful, reverent, and open hearts to drink from the deep well of our eternal nature. As we dive into the soul field together, we are held in a sacred and holy embrace by the source of all love, light, and grace. In this eternal now, we actively invoke our unique pathways to source and the beings of love light that support our divine unfolding and evolving. We allow our mind, body, spirit to expand into the holy realms where magic and miracles are commonplace. As we minister to ourselves, we minister to one another and our family humanity. We recognize we are one in the holy wholeness. We allow all we do here today to ripple out through our lives as a living witness of divine grace for the benefit of all beings.
Venimos con corazones agradecidos, reverentes y abiertos a beber del profundo pozo de nuestra naturaleza eterna. A medida que nos sumergimos juntos aquí en el campo del alma, somos sagradamente acogidos por la fuente de todo amor, luz y gracia divina. En este ahora eterno, pedimos que se abran nuestros caminos hacia el Creador, junto con los seres de amor y luz que apoyan nuestra evolución divina. Permitimos que nuestra mente, cuerpo y espíritu se expandan hacia los reinos sagrados, donde la magia y los milagros ocurren constantemente. A medida de que atendemos nuestras propias necesidades, asimismo atendemos el uno al otro y a toda nuestra familia humana, reconociendo que somos uno en la totalidad sagrada. Permitamos que todo lo que se haga aquí hoy continúe fluyendo en nuestras vidas como un testimonio vivo de la gracia divina para el beneficio de todos. So we're going to do the tapping. You can tap the thumb or massage your ears. I will call the sentences and then you'll repeat out loud.
And make sure when you do this, just as refresher, legs are uncrossed, or like you see in the picture, double crossed in yoga mudra.
I am grounded in my soul values.
I am grounded in my soul values.
I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life.
I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life.
I am living soul sovereignty. I am living soul sovereignty, choice by choice.
I am living soul sovereignty, choice by choice.
I am grounded in my soul values.
I am grounded in my soul values.
I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life.
I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life.
I am living soul sovereignty, choice by choice.
I am living soul sovereignty, choice by choice.
I'm grounded in my soul values.
I am grounded in my soul values.
I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life.
I see clearly what is for me and easily choose that which uplifts and glorifies my life.
I'm living soul sovereignty, choice by choice.
I am living soul sovereignty, choice by choice.
Mm,
Oh,
it's good.
it's
So
good.
good.
It's good. Just letting that vibration move through your body, really receiving that upgrade, that reminder that literally lets the cells vibrate with a different frequency and lets them remember what we're
Yeah.
up to. And what we're up to, of course, is choicefulness in an engineered fake world that's vying for our attention. This is our focus. And today we're going to dive into sacred receptivity as immunity and how we can actually, so you can think of like some of what's going on in our technological media driven world is, we could call it like an anti-nutrient, unhealthful for us. So we're talking not just about today, how do we get rid of the anti-nutrients, but how do we bring in what really nourishes us? How do we take in deep soul level nourishment?
Yes. We've been talking about how we sometimes can't hear what the messages or the information or the subtleties of the energy. And when we are sometimes surrounded by so much noise, either our cell phones or information or technology or different things, we tend to get, or at least for me, I get frustrated because I tell myself, how come I'm not hearing? How come I'm not tapping in? And today we are going to be talking about how to actually tap into that subtlety and what to do in order for us to create that level of protection and shielding ourselves from the noise. And we have a choice, of course. And that doesn't mean that we're all going to go move into the Himalayas and live there with no service or anything. But what it means is that how do we make choices in our daily lives? How do we choose every day? And what are some of the things that we can do to actually enhance the receptivity to our sacred calling? Yeah.
I had the experience recently. Some of you know because we were in contact before or after recently, but I had the experience of being camping for 2 weeks and really taking the time to unplug. I was, even though we have the ability to have internet, I would sort of leave my phone until at least noon every day and would make sure that out in nature. I didn't even have it with me, etc. And it was a real recognition of how all the electromagnetic frequencies and signals and whatever, they really do pull us, even if we're not actively engaged with it. And you can feel, we had some friends come, and my friend is very sensitive, and she was like, I just feel like I keep grounding more and more as I'm like detoxing all the signals that my body's constantly receiving. And so we want to talk first about, separate from like going someplace where there truly is, no signal that's pulling on you except the signals of nature and your own soul. um how can we create some of that for ourselves, and what are some ways to help ourselves ground? And so we want to share some tools that have been given to us over the years. And we also want to hear, from you at different times. We might pause recording and or ask you to, put in the chat what are some things that work for you. But we want to talk a little bit about a way you can set up a space, which is to lay down a red towel or a red blanket. So red is a grounding color. You put your body on that red. Excuse me. And then you can put around you either star anise. You might remember us working with star anise as a way to cleanse and also activate spiritual connection. Sort of like in a circle around you, you can place some star anise. You can also or place either cloves of garlic or the sort of deodorized garlic pills around you. It creates a force field that it becomes a clarifier. It's like the energy understands this is sacred. And so it's sort of a very pragmatic way to quiet the field.
Yes. So what we're really trying to do here is adding things into our lives that enhance connection. It's sort of like Luminari was explaining this the other day so beautifully. She said, we have food that is just crappy food. And then we have organic food that is, without pesticides and whatever. But we also need food that includes nutrients, not just avoiding, the pesticides and the anti-nutrients, but also food that provides nutrients, food that has that charge, that energy.
You're
And
talking
so,
about like standard farming, organic farming, regenerative farming, and like how, that each step is a step in the direction of like, here's the toxicity, here's removal of toxicity, here's the toxicity removed with the soil alive and vibrant, with the water alive and vibrant, like that.
yeah. And so in this practice that we're encouraging you all to do today, we are at that last stage. We are removing all of the toxicity and we are adding all of the nutrients to our spirituality. And throughout the times that we've been together, we've done a lot of techniques to cleanse the field, to remove all those anti-nutrients, to oh, the kitty. Sorry, I got distracted. We've been doing a lot of that recalibrating our energy. And so today we want to make sure that we're also, as you are cleansing yourself, you are protecting yourself, and then you can really attract the nutrients of your spirituality that you need. So um you Luminaria talked about the red blanket as in creating like a sacred space, right? A little rug or red blanket that you step on and you create an energetic shield with either the star of anise or the garlic. Do you
Or
want to
both.
talk about the other ones or both?
Yeah, so I meant to bring this with, but one of the things that you can do these are sort of simple, it's just ways to get extra signals out of your field. You can get like a phone cover that has EMF protection, so you're getting less signals when you're holding your phone. They also make little Faraday cages that are about the size of your phone. So a Faraday cage, for those of you who don't know, I'm not going to go into the science behind it, but it literally blocks all electromagnetic frequency from coming in and out. And so they make these little, like you could buy them for $6 on Amazon, these little Faraday cages. And so even when your phone, for example, is in airplane mode, it's still drawing signal and giving signal. You put it in a Faraday cage, nothing's coming in, nothing's going out. And so if you sleep, for example, with your phone near you and then it's in the Faraday cage, you're getting less signal. So you're having a little bit of time without some frequencies, right? It's not perfect. It's not the only way, but it's a way.
Yes. And another option or another suggestion that we have also is going into nature without your cell phone, like completely without, because I take my cell phone and sure, I can put it on airplane mode or whatever, because I want to take pictures. the other day I was thinking, when was the last time I look at my pictures that I took like 2 years ago? Like really? When do I go back to look at my pictures? And I'm missing the entire experience because I want to capture the moment that I will never look at again. And so maybe this is something wanting to do as well, going into nature and like really taking it in, taking everything in without worrying about this is gonna go away. I better take a picture of it. But like really intentionally being present in
Right.
that moment.
Like capturing the experience in our presence rather than, on a technological device, for example. Um, Another reason why we are bringing this up is on that same trip, we was talking with my soul sister, and she had left her phone in the vehicle that they drove to meet us camping the entire trip. The last morning she took it out, and she took it on her walk because she wanted to take pictures, but it was in airplane mode. So she had this contrast. So she went to the place where she had been sitting, and all through the trip, when she would sit there, she could literally like hear the trees talking to her. She could feel the vibration of the earth. She could like really was in communion with nature. And she had her phone in airplane mode, was in her pocket, and she sat down in the place and she couldn't feel it. So then she set it off of her body just next to her. She still couldn't feel it. She said she had to get it like 3 or 4 feet away from her before she could feel what she felt before when she didn't have her phone. Now, we may not all be that attuned where we can feel that level of nuance, but it is a great understanding that we are impacted, even if we don't feel it. So there's something about giving ourselves these kind of technology breaks and being in sacred place, either internally or sacred place out in nature, that is a way of bringing in nourishment that is literally like the booster that keeps out when now we go into the regular everyday life and we have to use our phone and we're on technology like this. It becomes a way that we're sort of protected, and there are plenty of, and we can certainly make some suggestions in our Facebook group, um, plenty of technology that exists now to sort of minimize that noise and to allow your body to be more restful, like all the different earthing and grounding technologies, etc. But we want to just encourage, like, think about how to do a little tech detox, whether it's putting your phone in a Faraday cage at night or doing the walk like Nancy was suggesting.
Yeah. And we're talking about right now the cell phone, right? Because there's a lot of studies that actually track how the radiation affects your body and the energy and all of those things. But that's just one aspect of connecting. We're focusing on that because that's the most prevalent and the most accessible thing that we have in hand, that we can actually do something about it. And we're not suggesting that we should not meet on Zoom and we should not use our phones to get the link for Zoom or anything like that. We're suggesting to go recharge. This is depleting, so go recharge. Come back and recharge and make that choice, because this is all about, in this fake world, we need to make choices that are in our highest interest. And with that, we also need to find time and make time for this. And we need to find space and create space for this. Some suggestions that we talked about were creating your sanctuary. I don't know if any of you have a little space dedicated for your sanctuary for meditation or things like that. Yeah, Luminary has like the best one of all.
Anyone else have spaces? Sacred spaces? Yeah, some show of hands.
Even if it's a little corner that you take and you say, this is my little corner where I have all these things, it creates mm, that frequency, that vibration,
And it
that
cues your system. Like, oh, this is what's happening now when we enter, we have a sacred space. It can be small, it can be a little corner in a room, right? It can be just the place where your meditation cushion sits, or just the place where your journal is, but you have a candle next to it, and you make sure you have a fresh flower every now and again. Like it can be small, or it can be an entire space, like an entire room.
Yeah.
There,
And
what, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, continue.
What we're really wanting in this is for you to start thinking more about and understanding that these things, making space, we're going to talk about sacred listening next, but making space and clearing physical space, even signal space in our field, that is a way to support us in staying in soul integrity, staying in our choicefulness and our soul level choicefulness when all these energies want something from us.
Yeah. And that helps us connect and feel like, wow, okay, this is happening for this reason. This is happening in its own divine timing. Things just happen because they have to happen that way. And there is this ease in our flow. Even when Luminaria got super sick a couple of weeks ago, there was flow in that sickness. There was a reason for all of that. And when we're not listening, then we go into control, we go into fear. And we're really wanting you to have sovereignty and choice. So you know that you are safe, you're protected, you're cared for always.
So I'm going to pause the recording for a minute. But before I do, I'll ask the question I'm going to ask so those who are watching this later can have their own little reflection. Just want to hear, like, what are some of your favorite or most potent ways to create that kind of listening space, to create space where you can hear the rhythm of your own soul, where you can hear grace, where you can hear nature talk to you? Like, what are some of your favorite ways, or ways that have worked for you really well in the past, even if you're not currently doing them? Let's just share a little bit with one another so we can inspire each other to do more of that. So I'm pausing the recording. And so we're coming back from a little group discussion, and I'm just going to kind of highlight some of the things that were mentioned so that those of you who are watching via recording. So we talked about the experience of water and moving water, and trees, and specifically redwood trees. We talked about floating in water, Tai Chi, being with our pets, and especially the cats. We talked about vocalizing, like speaking the prayers, singing the prayers, feeling the vibration of that. Am I remembering all the things, Nancy?
Yes, yes. And we talked about how vibration can enhance healing, including the purring of cats. Our own voice being recorded and being expressed can talk to ourselves. There are so many ways that vibration enhances our well-being and speaks to ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've gone to sound bowl healings, but those are like phenomenal as well. And we can do that for ourselves with other people, to other people, and that definitely helps us stay in coherence and connect.
And Nancy and I want to add a few things that we think are very supportive and connective. One is journaling, like just taking time either in the journaling to sort of like write whatever's going on with you, but also to be in the listening and let your wise self, let spirit move through you. There's something powerful about doing that with a pen and paper. Something different happens biochemically when we do that versus typing. So we highly encourage the handwritten journaling.
Yeah, both sides of the brain start to activate when we're using the hand motion, and we input the information. When we're typing, the words are not deeper or bigger or smaller. There's no differences. But when we're writing, we can actually transmit whatever emotions we are having into paper, and the brain starts to adapt and regulate and understand what's happening, and integrate that.
we
Yes.
we also love nature walk, which is different than going for a walk. Nature walk is where you literally like are you're drawn to this flower or tree and you go and you receive it. You let yourself pause. It's a slower, it's not exercise. It's literally like actively feeling what parts of nature are talking to you or that you feel called to, smelling that little tiny flower, noticing the trillium that pops up, whatever, wherever you are.
Yes. And something that is seems very simple, but sometimes it's very hard to do is to just be in complete silence. I don't know about you, but silence is like a commodity. When are we in complete silence? I know that sometimes I experience it when I wake up at 2 in the morning and everything is quiet and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. But intentional silence moments, I think I need to do more of those because it quiets my mind and allows me to receive more.
Also, for some people, art is a powerful way to come into that space of communion, to give yourself time to create, and to do it not necessarily with the intention of the outcome, but to be in the process of whatever the art is, whatever medium you're working with, etc.
Yeah. And art is all of the mediums, right? Is music and is painting and is dancing and is anything really, redecorating your house. But another technique that you can use is just sitting in your sacred space and maybe pulling out cards, as it was mentioned in the chat, um, or creating something, even if you don't believe you're artistic, just use the movement of your hands and create, or the movement of your voice, like someone mentioned, and be in that communion. There's so much beauty. I want to say that God exists in art, you know, God is there for me, at least.
Yeah, and we could go on and on. Like we could, one of the things that's really helpful for sacred listening is to have connection with soul friends where you have a conversation that's really intending and coming from that space. Nancy and I get to do that with one another regularly, and it enhances our lives so much. Um, and so what we're really getting at here is how do we get into our own sacred flow, our own sacred rhythm? How do we have time that's um, structured only by the intention to listen rather than the things we need to accomplish, even if it's art, etc. We want to share um, a little reading with you from the Radiance Sutras. This is Lorin Roche, and he has translated these particular verses from the particular Sanskrit text. I'm not going to go into all the details, but I want to read this. And we're going to sort of use this as an entry into meditation. So you can let yourself close your eyes. You can let yourself start to be in that receptivity. This is Radiant Sutra number 15. Bathe deeply in the ocean of sound vibrating within you now as always, resonating softly, permeating the space of the heart. The ear that is tuned by rapt listening learns to hear the song of creation. First like a handbell, then subtler like a flute, subtler still as a stringed instrument, eventually as the buzz of a bee. Entering into this current of sound, the listening one forgets the external world, becomes absorbed into internal sound, then absorbed in vastness, like the song of the stars as they shine.
Wow, that was beautiful. Beautiful. Mm. So we are going to begin a beautiful meditation that Luminaria was able to embrace and channel for you all. And this is to calibrate the heart to the frequency of soul feel. And we'll start with instructions, and then we'll play um, a, a video. It's a 639 hertz of vibration that connects to this heart center, compassion, and restoration. And it's a pure, positive, loving energy. And I'll put the link on the chat too, if you want to listen to this later on for yourself.
Yeah, so we're going to calibrate the heart to the soul field, because our heart is this electromagnetic thing that moves into coherence with various different things and fields. And it can get disrupted by all that outer noise. And so when we strengthen the heart field, that is immunity for us. And so as Nancy said, we're going to just invite you to allow your eyes to close. Let go of anything that you're writing with or anything that you might be doing with your hands. And just bring your presence first and fully to yourself. And just bringing yourself fully into this moment with each breath. Each breath as invitation. Invitation to settle and land. Invitation to connect and receive. And you feel the ground through whatever furniture you might be on if you're not sitting directly on the earth. Whatever flooring, you feel the ground, the earth herself underneath you. And with intention, you let your body and her body begin to harmonize. The simplicity of your intention, you'll feel it. Nourishment comes in and over and through you. And bringing your breath and your presence, all of your awareness to the physical heart. And registering the physical heart has these 4 sections, or what are called ventricles. And you just notice it, you just have an awareness of it. And you breathe with the heart, feeling your connection to your physical heart strengthening with each breath. And then there are these beautiful swirls of light, sort of gold and silvery white light. And it almost looks like, if you were to see it, like you picture like a unicorn horn with these spirals spiraling around one another, but it's light. And it's rather than conical, it's just like a tube of light, spiraling light. And this spiraling light enters 1 tube each into each ventricle of your heart, like the light is burrowing into the heart. And you feel it, the physical heart has a change. It becomes different, and you feel that spiraling light. You sense, you see it, you know it. And you allow it, you give permission to these spirals of light to illuminate and activate your heart, bringing it into resonance and coherence with the soul field. And you feel that from the very center of the heart, there's this energy of lifting as these tubes of light, like your heart is lifted out of the heaviness, out of any grief, out of any struggle, out of the pain of life itself. You can feel the physical heart being lifted, lightened. And it feels so good. Like the heart is like pre-orgasmic as it receives this energy. And then these beautiful spirals of light come into each of the eyes. Each eye receiving these light swirls, just like what was given to the heart. And the eyes are purified and cleansed, lifted out of the cultural view, tuned toward the view of soul, cleansed of the cultural pessimism and fear. And while that's happening, these tubes of light start to flow down the entire spinal cord from above and up the entire spinal cord from below. These two tubes of light moving through the spinal cord, through the nervous system, as it is cleansed and attuned to the frequency of soul, to the soul field. And it may bring tingling or warmth, but there is physical sensation. And ultimately, you feel the well of dreams, the base of the skull, opening up so big, opening you into the sacred listening, opening you into the place where you hear the sound of soul. And in this place, you stay receiving as you listen to this 639 hertz energy field. Chat what your experience is. And if there's anyone who we are sort of short on time, but if you feel strongly called to share, we'll make space before we turn the recording back on. We can't hear you, Nancy.
It's recording.
Oh, it is recording. It never stopped.
It did.
Oh, it just went back on. Okay, well then here we are. Let's
Divine
enter
guidance.
into the chat what your experience was. If you'd like to share, we can receive that there.
I don't know about all of you, but it went by so fast. I was like, whoa. I looked down and it was already like 5 minutes have gone by. And I'm like, how? How did that happen? I could have stayed there longer for sure.
Yeah. We put the link in the chat thread to that particular piece that we were using from YouTube, the 639 hertz. And so you will be able, you can sort of touch back if you want to watch this recording and do the meditation again and then listen to that music for a longer period of time and just stay in that deeper space. You can do that.
Yeah. And do you pause recording for just a second? Again.
Yeah.
All right, just a reminder that I'm gonna put in the chat the links, as always. The chat for our Soulfield Facebook group, for our YouTube channel where we have the recordings of this if you want to experience it again, or if you want to share it with somebody that you believe benefits, and Instagram as well. And then the Soulfield website where you can actually send people over so they can sign up for our mailing list. And so they can receive the information that we're sharing here and the reminders as well. And I'm also going to put I don't know why I didn't do that before, but I'm going to put the PayPal link also for donations. Your donations have been helping us with everything that we need in the sense of, payments for the equipment and all of that, the Zoom and technology. So thank you. And it's also, we're dedicating space and we're dedicating a portion of those donations for whoever needs support or needs something or wants something. Please reach out to us. We have availability.
Tithing 10% back to the community. So
yeah.
we missed because of, as you know, I was sick. We missed our summer solstice ritual, but we still would like to do rituals. So we're gonna do a midsummer ritual, and it's gonna be on Soulfield Sunday on August 11th. So our August 11th Soulfield Sunday, and it will be, pardon me, it will be a 2-hour meeting rather than an hour meeting. So we'll meet from 11 to 1 instead of from 11 to 12. So we'll send out a little bit more information about that in the coming weeks, but we just wanted to give you the sort of heads up that that's where that's moving to.
Yes. And we are scheduled for the first and third Wednesday for meditation, but the Wednesday, the 17th, we're not going to be able to make it, so we are moving it to the next day, the 18th.
The day before. No, the day before.
Oh, the day before.
The 16th. Yeah, I'm going to be on a plane, and we think it's so nice when we get to be together. So instead of doing it on Wednesday, we're going to do it on Tuesday. And instead of at 5:10, I think we said, what time did we say? 5:30. So 5:30 on Tuesday, the 16th, we'll have our live meditation. And I apologize for not getting last week's live meditation up and in the links section on our Facebook page, but I will get that soon. Right.
Yes. So we'll do the closing prayer.
We will say our closing prayer. We will blow out our candles, and until next time. We are deeply grateful, we really are, to have experienced miraculous communion with our holy wholeness in the soul field. We wholeheartedly receive the upliftment of one another's communion and blessed soul light. As we close this formal gathering, we each in our own way will continue dwelling in the soul field and supporting our collective evolution. With deep gratitude, we thank one another and all our angels, guides, and guardians. Remembering as we minister to ourselves, we uplift one another. We encourage the magic we co-created to ripple out to all our relations for the benefit of all beings.
Estamos profundamente agradecidos por esta experiencia milagrosa de comunión con nuestro ser sagrado aquí en el campo del alma. De todo corazón recibimos la comunión de cada uno de nosotros y de nuestra alma divina. Al culminar formalmente esta congregación, cada uno de nosotros de manera personal permaneceremos en el campo del alma, apoyando nuestra evolución colectiva. Con profunda humildad, agradecemos el uno al otro y a nuestros ancestros, ángeles, guías y guardianes de luz, recordando que cuando predicamos con nuestro ejemplo, nos elevamos el uno al otro y alentamos la magia que acabamos de co-crear para que se expanda a todos para el beneficio de la humanidad. And so as we come into closing, anything that you want to leave in the temple of divine perfection, you can leave it there. Anything that you want to maybe add to that, you can leave it there. It'll be there for you always. And so let's blow out our candles and close this gathering. Thank you for joining us today.
Have a beautiful couple of weeks.